Hello, my name is Charlotte, a tutor here at BritCent. Today I'm going to be talking about different types of sentences and how you can use this to improve your writing. Many of my students find that they understand grammar and can use advanced vocabulary, but their writing style still needs work. For example, the essay could be full of short, repetitive sentences or extremely long and complex sentences that are hard to understand. If you can understand the different types of sentences in English, you can avoid these problems and write essays like a pro. So, let's get started. Before we get started, you need to understand what a clause is. A clause is a part of a sentence that includes a subject and a verb and may be completed by a complement. For example, this book is interesting. She's going to the cinema with her friend. I've always dreamed of visiting New York. An independent clause is a clause that functions as a sentence. It makes sense on its own. On the other hand, a dependent clause is a clause that does not make sense on its own. Take a look at these dependent clauses. Because the weather is good today. Although she hasn't finished her essay. When I went to London. Notice they are all introduced by a word like because, although, and when. These words are called subordinators. These dependent clauses require an independent clause to make a full sentence. I'm going to the beach because the weather is good today. Although she hasn't finished her essay, she has completed the presentation. I visited Buckingham Palace and the Tate Modern when I went to London. Simple sentences are made up of one independent clause. The name can be misleading. Even though they are simple sentences, they can be long and complex at times. Let's look at some examples. I studied in London for 6 months. Last night, I ate dinner at a restaurant with my brother, sister, and all of my friends. If a paragraph has too many simple sentences, then it can feel repetitive and somewhat boring. However, don't be afraid of using simple sentences. Sometimes they are necessary, and you can use them to make a strong impact and emphasize your opinion, especially when you contrast them with other sentence types. Compound sentences are made up of two independent clauses and can be connected in various ways. With a coordinating conjunction, for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. For example, I wanted to go out for dinner tonight, but I had to work late. With a semicolon alone. You can only do this when the two parts of the sentence are very closely connected. For example, cats are great pets. They are playful and independent. With a conjunctive adverb. There are many, but some examples include moreover, however, at least, therefore. For example, London is a great city with lots of fun things to do. However, the weather is quite bad. Note, the conjunctive adverb is sandwiched between a semicolon and a comma. Complex sentences are made up of a dependent clause and an independent clause. The dependent clause will begin with a subordinator, such as because, when, since, although. Although the weather is terrible today, I'm going on a walk. I'm cooking dinner early because I'm so hungry. This is really useful when you need to show the relationship between two ideas, such as cause and effect or order in time. The final type of sentence is a compound complex sentence made of two or more independent clauses and one dependent clause. This is like a combination of a compound sentence with a complex sentence. I almost forgot my friend's birthday, but I quickly sent a card when I remembered. When I finished class, it was almost dark, so I took an Uber home. So, what's the point of all these sentence types? Well, using a variety of sentence types makes your writing more interesting. If you always use the same kind of sentence, it will sound repetitive. Keep your reader interested by using plenty of different sentence types. Let's look at a short example paragraph. I'm really interested in British culture. In 2018, I visited London. I saw many different landmarks and ate British food, such as fish and chips. However, I haven't been to the north of the UK. I want to visit Manchester. The city has an interesting history. Lots of good musicians and bands have concerts there. The UK is a fascinating country. I can't wait to go back. Notice that every sentence is a simple sentence. It makes the paragraph seem boring, and the connections between sentences are not always clear. Let's try adding some different sentence types. I'm really interested in British culture. In 2018, I visited London, where I saw many different landmarks and ate British food, such as fish and chips. However, I haven't been to the north of the UK. I want to visit Manchester because it has an interesting history and lots of good musicians and bands have concerts there. The UK is a fascinating country and I can't wait to go back. Now it has 2 simple sentences, 1 complex sentence, 1 compound sentence, and 1 compound complex sentence. As a result, the paragraph is much more interesting to read, and the connections between ideas are clearer. So, today we learned about 4 different sentence types. Simple sentences, 1 independent clause. Compound sentences, 2 independent clauses. Complex sentences, 1 independent clause, 1 dependent clause. Compound complex sentences, 2 or more independent clauses, 1 dependent clause. Try to improve your writing by highlighting different sentence types. If you notice there are too many of one kind, you can change some sentence types for a more interesting writing style. That's all for today. Keep these rules in mind and your essays will quickly improve. Remember, if you need extra help with your essay, you can submit it to our editing service for correction by our expert editors. Be sure to subscribe and follow our Instagram to stay up to date.